There is a version of you that thrives in a recession. Right now, somewhere, that version of you is already awake, already working, already 3 moves ahead, while the version of you sitting here is still waiting for the economy to apologize before it starts moving. And here is the sentence that should make you uncomfortable enough to change: the economy was never going to apologize. It never has, not once, in the entire history of money. So the question was never, when will things get easier? The question has always been, who will you become while things stay hard? Let's start here, because this is where most people get it wrong before they even begin. A bad economy does not create poverty. A bad economy exposes it. It exposes who was actually building something and who was simply riding a wave that felt like progress. When the tide goes out, you find out who was swimming and who was just floating on borrowed water. That is not cruelty. That is clarity. And clarity, even painful clarity, is a gift disguised as a punishment. Every generation believes their economy is uniquely broken. Every single one. The man in the Depression believed it. The man in the 70s, watching inflation eat his paycheck alive, believed it. And the man reading this today, watching prices rise faster than his income, believes it too. He is not wrong, it is hard. But hard was never the exception in human history. Hard was the baseline. Ease was always the rare exception, borrowed briefly and then handed back. So if hard is the baseline, the real skill was never avoiding hard economies. The real skill is learning to prosper inside them, because there will always be another one. There will always be another storm season. The question is whether you spend your life waiting for calm water, or whether you finally learn to sail in the water you actually have. Here's the first shift, and it will separate you from 90% of the people complaining around you right now. Stop asking, how do I survive this economy? And start asking, who is prospering inside this exact same economy? Because someone is, right now, in this very same market, this very same inflation, this very same uncertainty. Someone is closing deals. Someone is building an audience. Someone is quietly getting richer while everyone else is doomed, scrolling headlines about how impossible it all is. The conditions are identical. The response is what's different. A bad economy does not remove opportunity. It relocates it. It moves opportunity out of the comfortable, obvious places and hides it inside the uncomfortable, overlooked places. The lazy eye walks past it. The trained eye sees it immediately. And training your eye is not about intelligence. It is about attention. Where most people see a crisis, the prosperous mind sees a redistribution event. Money is not disappearing from the world during hard times. It is simply changing hands, moving from the fearful to the focused. Let me say that again, because it is the whole sermon in one sentence. Money moves from the fearful to the focused. Fear makes you contract. It makes you freeze your spending, freeze your learning, freeze your outreach, freeze the very actions that would have carried you through. And in that frozen state, you become invisible to the opportunities still moving around you. Meanwhile, the focused man keeps moving, not recklessly, not blindly, but deliberately, like a man walking through fog with a flashlight instead of standing still, hoping the fog clears on its own. Here's what prosperity in a bad economy actually requires, and none of it is complicated. Though all of it is uncomfortable, it requires cutting expenses before you're forced to. It requires building a second stream of income before the first one becomes unstable. It requires learning a skill that the market still pays for, even when it stops paying for the one you currently have. None of this is glamorous. None of this will trend online. But glamorous has never once paid a mortgage. Preparation pays mortgages. Discipline pays mortgages. And discipline was never loud. It does its work in silence, long before the crisis arrives, so that when the crisis does arrive, it finds you ready instead of frozen. Most people wait for permission to start preparing. They wait for the headlines to get bad enough, the layoffs to get close enough, the bills to get scary enough, before they finally decide to change anything. But by then, you are not preparing. You are reacting. And reacting from a place of panic will always cost you more than preparing from a place of calm. The prosperous man does his preparing in the quiet years, so that the loud years cannot touch him the way they touch everyone else. Think about a farmer for a moment. A wise farmer does not wait for the drought to start digging his well. He digs it during the season of rain, when the ground is soft and nobody else sees the urgency. Everyone else is out enjoying the rainfall. He's the only one sweating in the field, building something nobody around him understands yet. And when the drought finally comes, as it always eventually does, his well is full, while everyone around him is suddenly asking him how he knew. He didn't know the exact day. He simply refused to assume the rain would last forever. That is the entire posture of prosperity in a hard economy. Dig your well while it's raining. Now here's something the comfortable years never teach you, but the hard years teach brutally fast. Value is the only true currency, and value is measured by what problem you solve for another human being. In good times, people will pay for convenience. In hard times, people only pay for necessity. So the real question becomes, are you positioned as convenience, or are you positioned as necessity? Convenience gets cut first when budgets tighten. Necessity survives every single cut. If your income depends on being a nice to have, a bad economy will remove you before you even see it coming. But if your income depends on being a genuine solution to a real, pressing problem, the market will keep paying you, recession or not, because pain does not go on sale during a downturn. If anything, pain gets louder. So ask yourself honestly, are you solving a real problem? Or are you simply occupying a role that was comfortable during comfortable years? That question alone will tell you more about your future than any news article about interest rates ever will. Let's talk about the mind for a moment, because the mind breaks before the wallet ever does. The wallet is usually the last thing to go. The mind goes first. It starts with a thought. This is impossible. Then a feeling. Then a posture. Then a set of actions, or rather a set of inactions, that quietly confirm the very prophecy the mind spoke into existence. The economy did not defeat that man. His own internal narrative defeated him first, and the economy simply arrived afterward to collect what fear had already surrendered. You get to choose your internal narrative, even when you cannot choose the external headlines. And that narrative, repeated daily, becomes the architecture of every decision that follows. This economy is impossible, builds a certain kind of day. This economy is where the disciplined get ahead, builds a completely different kind of day, using the exact same 24 hours. Here's a hard truth wrapped inside encouragement. Hard economies do not build character. They reveal it. If you were disciplined before the difficulty, you will be disciplined during it. If you were undisciplined before, difficulty will simply amplify what was already quietly cracking underneath the surface. So the real work was never meant to start the day the economy got hard. The real work was meant to start years before, in the quiet, unglamorous decisions nobody was watching. If you are hearing this today, in the middle of a season that feels unfair, let this be the moment the shift begins. Not tomorrow. Not when things calm down. Today. Cut one unnecessary expense today. Reach out to one person who could open one door today. Learn one skill for 30 minutes today that the market still pays for. None of these actions will change your life by tomorrow morning, but stacked daily, for 90 days, for a year, they become the well you dug while everyone else complained about the rain. Bad economies end. They always have. Every single one in recorded history eventually turned. But the man who spent that season complaining will greet the recovery exactly as unprepared as he was when it started. And the man who spent that same season building, sacrificing, and positioning himself as necessary will greet the recovery already 3 steps ahead of everyone still catching their breath. So don't ask when the economy will get easier. Ask who you will have become by the time it does. Because that answer, more than any headline, more than any interest rate, more than any news anchor's prediction, is the one thing that was always entirely up to you.